Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another podcast of the Lab. I said that backwards. Lab podcast. Welcome to another podcast of the Lab. Today, we are going to talk about stress, how it can impact your body, and ways to relieve it. Because Kel and I both know that we are a big, massive ball of stress. And that's how I got my traps. And so we're just going to discuss ways of, stress relief. And also, if you are a stress ball, you are not alone. So before that, though, Kel, how you doing? What's new?
Oh, I'm doing pretty okay. I am an anxious mess right now. Which is why we are talking about this today. But we are going on vacation here in a couple days, so that'll feel good. You guys, our vacation will be over by the time you all hear this, but Cody and I are going to Las Vegas to see the O, so I'm real excited about that. And yeah, I've just been grinding it out, kind of waiting for the finish line. How are you doing? What's new this week?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited for going to Vegas, going to the Olympia this weekend, which for those of you who don't know, the Olympia is basically the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. So it's a really big event. I find bodybuilding fascinating because there's no other sport where you can basically just walk in to the athletes and they're not just so guarded. They're very approachable, and yeah, it's just different. There isn't this, maybe except for Chris Bumstead, because he's the pretty boy and he's the most popular, so everyone's like, oh, and they'll line up for him and stuff, as we discussed last time. Yeah, there will be a little work involved, just so the IRS knows that, but yeah, it's I'm super excited. I don't get out much, and also a ball of stress. So I think hopefully you and I can both get some much needed fun
Chillax
in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been to Vegas before?
I have not. So this is a brand new experience for me. Yeah.
It is quite the experience. I went when I was 15, when I was really young. My sister was a competitive dancer, and she had a competition out there, so we went. But I didn't do anything other than walk around and look at the hotels. But it was so strange. So I'm excited to see it again when I am legal and able to, stand in certain places.
Yeah. I've gone to Reno, which is the tweaker version of Vegas. It's just very, very small. It's not great. It's not great. It's pretty run down. It's a little sketch. But it's drivable distance for me, and it's like a little mini Vegas, I guess. Not really, but it has lots of casinos and things where people can throw their money away, so it's similar in that way. But not as exciting. So I'm excited to see the real deal of Vegas, be a real adult, and flights there, man, were the worst. Did you have trouble finding actual flights that weren't awful?
Kind of, but my flights are also kind of awful. So we were going through Delta, and because we're using points, so all of our flights were for free because we used points for them. Yeah. But on the way home, our flight is really bad. It's a red eye. We don't get home until I think we leave Vegas at 11 p.m. at night or something on Sunday. So and we are back at in the wee hours of the morning on Monday morning. So they're not great. I thought flights to Vegas used to be super cheap, but they are no longer super cheap.
They did.
Or maybe that's just all flights.
Probably, but I was definitely surprised and was like, "Oh my god, why? Why now that I, decided to finally go to Vegas and everything is expensive?" I mean, the hotels were cheaper, which was great.
Yeah.
The tickets to the O were not cheap, and the flights not cheap. We have, so I'm in near Sacramento, and it should be like a pretty quick 1 hour nonstop flight. Couldn't find a nonstop flight that didn't suck, so we have a layover. I believe I think it's Burbank. For like 45 minutes, we don't get off the plane. We just sit on the plane for 45 minutes, and then we go to Vegas. So, and then on the way back, we have a stop with a layover, but we get off. But I can't remember the times. But it was awful. We went Southwest because those were like the best flights. But it was by no means cheap at all. But we tried like Spirit and stuff, and they just hit you with all the baggage fees, all the bullshit, and who fucking knows,
Spirit's so terrible to fly too, so
yeah.
I think he dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, so we paid a little bit extra, but we're getting free carry-ons and stuff and free first check bags, so I think it evens out. But it was a nightmare. I wish things would just, I mean, it's probably because it's holidays, but
True. We stop in Dallas, I think. I think our layovers are in Dallas, I believe. But I don't really remember. I feel like I bought the tickets so long ago, and I haven't even looked at them again. Which is probably not great.
Forget. Yeah, they send you the itinerary like a few days before, and then you're like, okay, that's where we're going.
That's what's happening.
I remember now. Cool. Yeah.
But it'll be fun once we get there.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. It's just, especially having COVID the past, few years, it's just big events are even more exciting now because previously it was in Florida and for the last couple years. And I don't know, was there an expo? I don't think there was.
I don't think there was.
Yeah, so it was just, they did what they could to keep it going, but now it's like the first year where it's just like the full event. So that's exciting that we get to go. But,
yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
And
we get to see all the fancy bodybuilders. So
yeah, and we will do a recap afterwards.
Hell yeah.
With Seth, who is also going, if anyone remembers, he was on the podcast previously, and we'll be on again as we recap.
Hell yeah.
But
we can nerd out.
Yeah, one thing I do think we should probably talk about before we dive into the topic is the actual lab, like what we are now and what we've been building. Because we had, we announced the lab, exciting news, but I feel as though we should probably mention it each episode so people are always filled in. So the lab, Kel and I have been really busy building the community, the lab fitness community. And what this is basically like your go-to resource for workouts, nutrition, guidance it's kind of basically like group training in subscription form. So we've just been kind of building the database, building all the resources for people to have ready for sign up, along with monthly challenges. We'll be doing live Q&As for people to ask questions. So am I missing anything, Kel?
No, I think it's going to be really fun. I think if people need a little bit of accountability, a little bit of guidance, and don't really, a personal trainer is kind of out of reach right now. I think this is going to be a great option for you, and it'll be pretty exciting. Give people. Sorry, that's my rice if you hear that beeping. But I think it'll help people a lot, and the challenges are going to be fun and different, and I think it's going to be great. So sign up.
Yeah. Especially it's like the part where I know a lot of people can't afford the one-on-one. So this is kind of our attempt at making it more accessible, and the community aspect I'm most excited about. So everyone has support, and so just everyone keep your eyes open. Our website is live if you want more information. So if you want more information, then you just go to www.yourfitlab.com. Also sign up for our email list so you can stay in the know of when the launch is officially happening. So yeah, all things lab, stay up to date. Go to yourfitlab.com, and I think that's it, right?
Yep, I think those are all the big newses. Newses? I don't think that was right.
Newses.
But that's okay. All right. Should we get into some stress relief and some stress effects?
So,
do we want to do effects and then...
Yeah, sounds good.
And then
Let's
relief.
start with the way stress fucks with your body, and then we can try to repair that.
Yeah.
So, should I kind of just go off of some things that I researched of how stress can impact the body? And
yeah, let's do that, and then we can talk about how... Yeah.
Okay, so here's the question. It's like, what happens physically during times of stress? Like, what is happening in the body? The stress response system originally kept people safe from environmental threats like hungry predators. Your body's modern-day stress response is identical to that of your ancestors, preparing the body for battle or quick getaway, the classic fight-or-flight response. Stress causes a cascade of physical reactions, including an accelerated heartbeat, opening of lung airways to improve oxygen delivery, release of adrenaline to speed you up, release of glucose to power muscles, widen pupils to improve vision, lowered gastrointestinal activity so you can run and not digest. So if you're constipated like me, you could be really stressed. So as you can see, it affects the body in all sorts of ways, especially, can you imagine like if that's chronic, right? You're just always, your heart's always beating fast, your adrenaline's always up, you're just on like, you're just on guard all the time. That's obviously going to have an impact on your body, and it's going to have you feeling tired. Also, chronic stress can have Alzheimer-like effects. It's not like you're developing it, but you become forgetful. Short-term memory kind of goes to shit. You feel kind of brain fogged and spacey. It can impact your sleep, which can also lead to the brain fog and and memory loss. Energy levels go down the toilet, and it can make you age faster. So we don't want to do that. We want to slow down the age process. We're old already, so we don't need more of that. So yeah, Cal, what stresses you out the most?
Life is pretty stressful, I think, in general for most people these days. But I think just tons of things on my to-do list, juggling a lot of balls in the air, essentially, keeps me stressed. I think not having finishing certain things, so like if I have like loose ends that need to be tied up, that always stresses me out. And then just like the world being on fire also tends to stress me out.
True,
how about you? Does it show up in your life like that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Basically, if I'm scatterbrained or overwhelmed with tasks and don't know where to start, obviously that will stress me the hell out. So I have to like write down my list of what to do, pick something and go. But I tend to get into like deer in the headlights mode for a little bit until I like force myself to write things down. So I'm just like frozen. And then I stress myself out because I'm like, oh shit. I'd have lost all this time because I was frozen. Having loose ends, things that are unfinished, change. Good Lord, change is awful sometimes. Learning new systems since switching over to, training under Scooby Prep, having to learn new training software has been the biggest fucking pain in my asshole. So after 5 years of training and then moving into different systems, I just like hate it. I get angry as I'm like doing all the things and learning. I'm like, this is so fucking stupid.
Why can't this be better?
Yes. Why do I gotta do new things? But then I have to remind myself, you're gonna get the hang of it just like you got the hang of it previously. Don't worry. The more you use it, the easier it's gonna get. You're learning. Be okay with that. But all that being said, also travel stresses me out. So even though the Olympia is super fucking exciting, I hate sitting next to strangers in planes. I hate being around strangers in planes. I hate being loaded in tiny spaces with strangers in planes. So there's just everything stresses me out. Being in a crowded gym stresses me out. Yeah, everything. So we need to.
So I'm a very habitual person. I'm a very routine person. And so any kind of like deviation to anything like in my routine really fucks me up. Like if something surprising happens that I wasn't planning for and like it
like this
ruins my schedule. No, like I usually have some flexibility, but like if I can't do like my morning stuff, excuse me, I get very off and I get really cranky. And usually that's what happens with me is I get angry. And so that's when I get really bad. And also I've recently come to become aware that like certain sounds really set me off. And like this is a really random one, but like when the movie theater, like if you're in a movie theater ready to watch a movie, and you know like the time before like after the previews but like before the like opening credits start, like it's just silent in the movie theater but you can hear everybody like eating and like chatting and stuff, so that makes me want to rip my ears out. And and like certain things like that, I get really overwhelmed sometimes in crowds. So like for the Olympia, actually I'm bringing earplugs, even though if I'm looking dorky, it will help me not freak out. So like certain things like that, sound wise, like really screw with me. So I just try to avoid it.
Yeah, I get that. Like loud, annoying noises or just overstimulation in general will kind of throw me for a loop. That's why I wear like these like the over the ear headphones, because they're noise canceling, so I wear them to the gym or even when I'm working, because it just helps me focus or whatever. Yeah, you know, crowds are definitely very overwhelming for me as well. I can only handle so much. It's like you go in and you take as much as you can until you start realizing like you're like starting to get like a little anxious, maybe a little agitated, and you're like, all right, it's time to go.
Yeah. Also, waiting in lines or traffic is also very stressful for me.
Ooh, yeah. Not a fan. I hate traffic, especially because you're just stuck. Like you can't go anywhere.
Can't do
you're
anything.
stuck in your car. Can't pee. Can't poop, so you better not eat and drink on the road. Nope. That's why I hate going to San Francisco. I'm like, cool, 3 hours where I'm not eating or drinking anything because traffic, man. But
yeah, I think, and I just think like the world is like just if you're not stressed, like I don't even know how you exist, to be completely honest, because I feel like everything anymore is like pushing people to the breaking point, and so it can be rough out there.
Yeah, especially like in the age of social media. You know, I'm not the one to be like, social media is evil. I hate it because it's done way more better for my life than bad. But you just got to know how to use it, and sometimes as being humans, we fall into bad habits of using it for not so mentally healthy ways. But yeah, you know, with all the information at our fingertips and people, you know, throwing their opinions around constantly, it's a lot. It's a lot on the internet, especially if you're consuming a lot of this stuff. So I'm trying to like consume less and just post my shit and then leave.
Yeah, I do the same.
I can't.
Try not to look around, because then you fall into like comparison traps, and that's just as stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So why don't we kind of like shift gears and talk about like how we can relieve some of that stuff or avoid it in the first place?
Yeah. So
unless you had more stuff for
yeah. I have some ways to help with stress. If you would like me to go over some of those.
Sure.
Okay.
Enlighten us, Cody.
Here. So first things first, that seems to be the most suggested or maybe most helpful if you are, willing to practice this, is to practice your breathing, which I fucking hate when people suggest this because I'm like, I am already breathing. It's fine. But it's right. They're right. Like literally the way you're breathing controls your fucking nervous system. So,
Yes.
I'll read a little bit about like how they say to practice this. Let's see. So they say, slow down and take deep breaths to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps reverse the chemical changes stress causes in your body. Start by noticing your breathing and making it slower and deeper. Put one hand on your chest and one on your lower belly. As you inhale, feel your belly, diaphragm expand outward, while a hand on your chest remains still. Breathe in through your nose and open your mouth slightly as you exhale. You can do this almost anywhere, in the car, at work, sitting, standing. Your breath is literally a shutoff valve for the sympathetic stress response. So that's kind of eye-opening to be like, oh, breathing is literally like what controls the stress response. So number one, check your breathing. 2, add joy. So how do we add joy to our lives? Get outside, take a walk, do some gardening, whatever your heart desires, listen to music. I love listening to music, especially Paramore. Like when I am stressed, I don't just listen to Paramore, I watch them on YouTube. It always like gets me amped for the gym, but also for some reason it brings my stress down, even though it's like harder music. But play. So join a sports team or play video games or play a board game, whatever your heart desires. Laugh, watch something funny, watch stand-up comedy, watch a funny TV series, whatever you find funny, do that more. Another one is exercise more. So, we kind of already got that down. Other ones is food. You got to watch. Your nutrition does matter when it comes to stress, because what you put in your body does have a direct effect on your stress levels. So you want to try to avoid sugar, because too much sugar causes an insulin spike and then a crash. This also stimulates your adrenal glands to secrete epinephrine and non-epinephrine. They can't talk, giving you the jitters. So be careful on the sugar. You don't want the jitters. Also watch the caffeine, because that's also a stimulant that can increase your stress levels and can impact your sleep. And then it's a vicious cycle. Choose whole foods. So good stress relief foods include healthy fats found in fish, walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, avocados, olive oil, and almonds. Get in lean protein, whole grain, high fiber, complex carbs, and fruits and veggies. And then, let's see, what else we got? Pace yourself. So, meaning slow the fuck down, right? Practice the breathing. Shut off your work at a certain time. If you work at home, make sure you have like a start and an end point, so you're not just working yourself into the ground. Little tip for both me and Kel there. Family and friends, connection is really important. So reach out to a friend. Sometimes that can bring your stress levels down, just talking or talking to your therapist. Connection is very helpful. So sorry, that was like a very long list of things that I just spouted off. But Kel, do you have anything that you like to do specifically that seems to help your stress levels?
So I think overall mindfulness helps me a lot. So like, just being mindful of like where my thoughts are going and kind of remembering that you're in control of a majority of them, at least when you're conscious. And, so controlling those and like meditating a little bit helps me. I don't do anything like super fancy for meditation. I just kind of, I'll go for a walk, and just kind of zone out, like go back into like walking meditation. So just remembering going back to the breath as I'm walking and kind of just moving through the world, noticing things like in nature, as opposed to like what's going on in my head. That helps me a lot. Journaling helps me so much, because it lets me get the vicious cycle of thoughts out and away from me. I think me and you have talked about this before, but journaling's really useful if you need to just get it out. Like you mentioned, writing things down in a to-do list is great, but like also if you're like circling, just getting everything out about, like, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can just be what is circling in your head, and just like getting it out on paper kind of puts it out. At least in my head it does. So I typically, like recently, I've tried to pick up morning and evening journaling, so it in hopes to improve my sleep. And that's hit or miss, to be honest. But I'm gonna keep practicing and see if it gets a little bit better. Do you have any kind of things that is like your silver bullet, or is that one or several?
Yeah, so journaling definitely also one, because I do, a brain dump essentially, where like you don't pay attention to making a journal entry make sense. Essentially, you just dump whatever is in your brain, you just put it on the paper, you just write and go. That is really helpful for me, especially in those moments where I'm feeling frozen. So if I am feeling frozen, I usually think I've got so much in my head that it's like clogged up, constipated, right? I gotta let it out. So that's where I go brain dumping. And then that usually from there, I'll go to, create a list of things to do, prioritize. So that's how I get unstuck. But it also relieves the stress, because a lot of times in our heads, something seems way worse and way bigger than it actually is. So once you get that on paper, you're like, oh, it's not so bad. I'm good. It's fine. But we like to make things way bigger. But also, it's hard because I feel like it's not something I should suggest, but something I really like to do, especially for bed. I've been doing sleep meditations, so I have an app called Aura that I really like, and it's cool because it kind of will help customize things to what you need. They have a lot of like stress relief bedtime meditations. If you have trouble falling asleep, it could be helpful, especially if you have a Delta 8 gummy in your system. It's just amazing. Another thing that I've been doing lately is, so Des very generously gifted me a new TV for the bedroom. Nice. And it's like massive in comparison. So what I did is to create like different, I feel like your surroundings are really important sometimes. Like if you're cluttered, your stress levels are just going to stay heightened. So I discovered that if you go to YouTube and you can search like fireplaces or cozy cabin scenes or cozy bedroom scenes, you can put that on your TV and it's like you're there, and it has like ASMR kind of sounds like crackling fire, or maybe there's like a sunrise. And I don't have a view anymore like I used to in my old place, so I've just been missing that. So I discovered putting that on the screen kind of helps relieve the stress. Or aromatics, so scents like with lavender and cinnamon. My favorite thing to do is to work in my bedroom with the TV on a fireplace, and then I light a cinnamon candle, so I'm like in Christmas mode.
Nice.
So that's just like my newest, like best stress relief option for myself.
I love that. I do a lot of things if I don't feel like I have a good plan for something. I've recently started this new way of planning that's helped me a lot. So like, if there's any other fellow business owners, sometimes it gets like you feel like you have a million things in the air, and that stresses me out. So my recent way of doing things is on Sunday night, I look at my week ahead. I look at what my big weekly goals are going to be, and then I chunk them out. So like, I'll use an example I did with Christmas cards. So I wanted to send Christmas cards to all my clients, and so I made it different steps for each day. So like the first day was go get stamps and cards. Second day was get everybody's address in a file so I could just do the envelopes. Next day, I did all of the inside of the cards, and then the fourth day, I put all the envelopes put everything together and took them to the post office. So it was a big task, but I just broke it out into pieces that I did on different days. So I felt like I had control over the situation. So like, and I wrote it in my to-do list. So like I have a Monday to-do list, a Tuesday to-do list. And if it doesn't get done on Monday, then it gets moved and then it gets moved up to the top. And that has been working really well for me recently. Not that it's just one of the many arrows in my quiver, but currently it's been helping a lot to kind of feel like I have a good grasp on the situation. Because I think, honestly, a lot of stress stems from like feeling a lack of control, at least for me. Yeah. So that just makes me feel like I'm in control a little bit more, even and to plan better, if that makes sense. So that's been helping me a lot. Petting a dog while working, also useful. Yes. My golden retriever will accept foot pets, which makes it useful because I can type and pet her at the same time. So that's been going well. Do you have any other ones that you wanted to share?
Yeah, definitely petting the dogs is mine as well. Like, it doesn't matter how stressed you are, if you just take a second and you just give your dog some belly rubs, you kind of forget for a second, and it just like brings the stress levels down. You kind of feel it lower a little bit. I'm trying to think. I mean, the usual, go out for a walk, listen to podcasts or music. I think one of the hardest parts about having your own business is the uncertainty that it brings. Nothing is certain, and I've even talked to mentors, even 10 years down the line, owning their own business, being very financially secure. They still worry that it's all going to come crumbling down. So it's kind of one of those things as a business owner that if you don't learn how to manage, it can definitely make or break you, because if you don't have your stress levels and mental health in control, you are not going to be the greatest coach or the greatest business owner. Things are going to start to fall apart a little bit if your mental health falls apart. So unfortunately, that is something that I'm like, okay, I really need to learn how to fucking control this shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also keeping caffeine levels in check. I know you mentioned it on the list, but like I know I get really caffeinated. Like on certain days, like especially it's a vicious cycle because like recently I've been having pretty poor quality sleep. So like I'll wake up in the middle of the night for a couple hours at a time. And then I'll wake up exhausted, and so I will get like more caffeine than normal. And like at one point, I think last week I had 2 Reigns. Have you ever had those? Have you had those before? Reign energy drinks. They're called Reign energy drinks.
I know what you're talking
they're
about.
by Monster, but they're like super duper caffeinated. And I had 2 in one day, and then coffee and pre-workout, and I'm like, my heart's gonna explode if I keep up this. So, so I realized that I need to step that back. And so I've been doing this week just coffee or pre-workout. No energy drinks is my goal. So just to make sure I stay away from that, just because I don't think it helps the energy, the stress levels. Just because it's like now all of my bodily functions are moving at light speed, but my head can't keep it up. So it's like vicious. That's a good one though. I think is to make sure you're monitoring your caffeine intake.
Yeah, I do as well. Like I know when I've had too much and it's not fun. So I just do coffee and pre-workout currently. I'll have the occasional Alani energy drink because I have this watermelon one that I really like, and they don't have a bunch of like dyes and shit in it. But it just tastes really good, and it's smaller, and it's only 200 milligrams, so it's not like monster size. I think they have like 300. So it's doable, but I can't do that and pre-workout, so I got to pick one. So usually I pick pre-workout. If it's a rest day or something and I need a little boost to drink while I work, I'll do an Alani. But the caffeine can definitely be a trigger for stress, so something to be aware of for sure.
Yeah. And I think another one that's really good is just knowing when you should be asking for help or to keep those boundaries more firm. So I know I fall into this a lot. Like if a friend needs something, like I always say yes. Like, so I think it's knowing when you can't, or when you can, and just understanding yourself and what you have on your plate, and then also keeping your boundaries firm, and if you cannot take on anymore.
Yeah, no, that's really important. I think there's a lot of obligation in the world, and it sucks because we can be worried to upset people if we do say no. But at the same time, if you say yes and you don't have the energy, you're just hurting yourself. And it's probably not going to be all that great. Say a friend asks you to hang out and you just really need some downtime and you need some time to yourself, but you say yes, then you're draining yourself more. Probably not going to have that much fun hanging out with this friend anyways because you're just not into it. So it's like, it sucks and it's hard. But generally, if your friends are your friends and they know you, they'll understand.
Yes.
So just be honest. You don't have to like make up being sick. You can literally just say, I just really need some downtime. I've had a crazy week, a crazy day, and I'm exhausted. And that's really all you need to do. But yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, especially I feel like this month, especially people feel like they're obligated to spend time with everybody because it's the holidays. And I think one thing I was joking with Maddie about was we are at this age where like you have to realize that like it's just not going to happen this month. I'll talk to you next year. Like it's just because like December is stressful for everybody. December, like everybody's trying to get deadlines done. Everybody's trying to see the ones they love. And it's, I think at a certain age, you just kind of understand like December is a shit show.
Mm-hmm. Or as you get older, it's more important to have, friends that are interested in similar things because if you don't have anything in common, the chances of you being able to find something to hang out or time to hang out is even lower because it's like you have to carve out time, especially for that. But say like in our instance, obviously, if we hang out, we have a lot in common. We can work out, we can work on the lab, we can do like we can do podcasts, endless things. But let's say we didn't have any of that. We had nothing in common. We didn't work out. Like it would be a lot harder.
Yeah.
Be like,
right. Yeah.
Why are we hanging out?
What are we talking about? Yeah, definitely. And I think doing those kind of like grouping things together so you can like it sounds bad, but kill two birds with one stone is helpful. Like, and that's okay. And it's okay to understand that.
Yeah.
Some relationships can't last forever, so yeah, it happens.
True. And then also, I think therapy, obviously, kind of falls into the knowing when to ask for help category. But I know therapy for me is been super helpful because they can help you create good coping strategies that, maybe if you're stressed, you tend to turn to food or other kind of like more destructive things. Therapists are there to really help you find healthy ways of coping in ways that maybe friends are not equipped to do so. But yeah, I think that's like the final thing I can think of, unless you can think of anything more.
Just kind of going along with therapy is medication. So like if you are an experiencer of chronic anxiety, maybe medication might be right for you. And it doesn't mean you have to stay on it for the rest of your life. Erica, who was on the podcast before, has mentioned it before just as like kind of like a Band-Aid that you can use while you're figuring out some more healthy coping strategies. And so that is always an option. And usually doctors are more than willing to help you out with that. It does take some time to kind of find the meds that that help you the most. But yeah, you can always talk to a doctor about that. And there's no shame in that game.
No. And just to kind of further that stigma is like I've taken medication for anxiety before, and it's been helpful because it's just been one of those things that I've been able to use at a really like high anxiety time. And then it's not like it's a crutch. It's just something that can help you push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit more so that you can get over that little hump. And then once you get over that little hump, you're able to also keep working on creating new coping strategies, working on getting that anxiety level down, or, some exposure therapy to, medication can help it not be too overwhelming for you. So it just kind of brings it down a notch. So no shame in that. I've used it. I still have anxiety medication that I take when I need. It's not a benzo. It's like that's why I'm like, oh wait, hold on, yeah. So I still have medication that I use when I really need it. So I don't have anything against that.
Yeah, no, I've been on medication for years. It's okay to have your serotonin be store bought. So, it works just fine.
Like some of us just, some of our wires are crossed. It's fine.
Yeah. Hey, no shame in that game. But I think that's the majority of the ones that I have. And then I think it's just taking time for yourself and making sure that you don't fall to the bottom of your priority list. And I know this is kind of crossing into that mental health more, but I think it helps stress too. Is just making sure that you do fill your own cup before you are pouring out for everybody else. You have to make sure you're taking care of yourself first. And it's really hard for a lot of people who are used to being given everything to everybody. I see this a lot with parents, especially. But just remember, you got to take care of you first. Put your own oxygen mask on first before you start helping everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, so you won't be much help if you're just a stress ball, because no one functions well when they're stressed. So For full functionality, please take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
All right.
I think.
Well.
Did you have anything else?
Sorry. No, I was going to ask if you did.
I think that was the majority of mine. And I had a power talk, but I actually thought of something while we were talking about it that I'm going to use as instead of the quote that I picked out. So I was talking to a mentor, must have been 2 weeks ago now, and he was talking about how you have 100% success rate so far in making it through every hard thing you've ever done. So just by waking up every day and continuing, you are succeeding. So just remember that even if you feel like you're going through a really, really hard time, that you're really stressed and you can't do shit right, and it feels so hard, that it is going to get better, and you're going to get over it because you're strong as fuck, and you've done it before. You've made it. You've slayed every single one of your demons already, and you've had really hard times that you thought you weren't going to make it through, and you did. So just keep that in mind. Even when it gets hard, you can push through. That sounded a little PSA-y, but I think sometimes it's important for people to remember that and be reminded. So that's what I got for us today.
I took that to heart, so thank you.
Perfect.
I'm like,
awesome.
Don't worry. It's temporary.
Got this. It's temporary. All right.
Yeah. So Kel and we're going to challenge ourselves to get our stress levels under control. So, maybe we should check in on here, keep ourselves accountable of how our stress levels are doing down the line. So I'm just like, I need to incorporate a lot of this.
Yep, same. We'll come back all fresh and what is it? I lost the train of thought. But
recharged,
and energized. We're gonna be killing it next week. We'll let you guys know how it goes.
Yeah.
Until then, go ahead.
Yes. Well, go to our website, and
that's what I was gonna say.
Sign up for the email list. Don't forget that. We want you to be in the know. So yeah.
Yes, keep up to date, and the countdown is on. So the lab will be launching soon. So don't want you guys to miss it. Until then, we'll talk to you all later.
Soon, as in January soon. So
beware.
Be ready. Yeah. All right. Peace out, guys.
Peace.